around the panel, if you chose 3 people now or in history to have lunch with, who would it be? Simple. And let's start with David Seymour. If you had lunch, a long lunch, who would you have at the table?
Oh, Maggie Thatcher, because she... Because she used her political power relentlessly to improve public policy.
You would have
have
Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
And what would you talk about?
Oh, probably her life and the things she achieved would be fascinating.
What did she achieve?
Well, she actually saved Britain
from
being broken down with paralysing strikes and socialism that was destroying their productivity growth and making people want to leave.
All right, Carmel, what do you reckon of that? What do you make of that?
Not Maggie Thatcher.
Okay.
But mine's a bit boring.
Economics.
Mine's a bit more boring than that, actually. I thought about it and I thought, who would I like to, living or dead? Probably my grandparents that have passed away. It would be hard to think out of the 4 of them who I would miss out if I had only three, but definitely my grandparents.
Your grandparents,
Yeah.
okay. I'm going to ask, I'm fascinated with David Seymour right now. Who's the other 2?
Well, the second one is Jamie White because
Jamie's
Jamie's a lot of fun to have lunch with. I mean, have you had lunch with Jamie White?
Stop the show.
Have you had lunch with Jamie White?
No,
There you go. You don't know. I would have lunch with Jamie White.
What can Jamie White teach us?
Well, he could teach you economics after your last question about the minimum wage. That wouldn't be hard. Jamie's actually an affable, fun guy. He's very, very smart, and he's very committed to improving public policy in New Zealand, which is what it's all about.
You know what? You've sold me.
Yep.
You've sold me.
Well, set it up. It's a date.
Let's go to Chris Bishop, candidate Hudson. Who would you have lunch with?
Well,
a long lunch.
I have been waiting a long time to be asked this question. Can I just say that? And there are 3 things I love in life.
Is it Jerry?
Rock and roll music, politics, and wine. So I thought very deeply about this. Firstly, Paul Keating, acerbic wit, be hilarious, talk about how he reformed the Australian economy. Secondly, Eddie Vedder from the greatest rock and roll band on the planet, Pearl Jam, also very political. And thirdly, a guy called Jeff Powell of Torbreck Wines, who makes the best Barossa Valley Shiraz in Australia.
Australian wine.
Hey.
And it would be a long lunch.
Hey,
a long lunch.
Can I come?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thinking Margaret Thatcher and Jamie White and David Seymour, and I'm thinking Eddie Vedder and the wine guy.
And Paul Keating.
All right.
Any person, living or dead, of any time, you got Paul Keating.
Yeah, big time.
Paul Keating.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'm amped. I'm amped and humming. What would Kevin Hague have for lunch? Green MP, West Coast, 3 people.
Okay, so Chris has got me thinking now. I might have to ditch Oscar Wilde and instead invite Joe Strummer, although we probably wouldn't be able to understand what he was saying.
Okay, cool.
So Joe Strummer, you know, the front man of the greatest band ever.
Explain to David who they are.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Explain to David and Jamie White and Margaret Thatcher who Joe Strummer is.
Joe Strummer was the front man for The Clash.
Oh, of course. Sorry, how could I not know?
Who were a band from the
from a million years ago.
So my other 2, okay, Edward Abbey, who's probably a guy that most people won't have heard of, but he was an author who wrote about the American Southwest, really passionate about protecting that natural environment and taking action to do so, and that's kind of the spirit of the Greens.
And one more.
And my last one, Rod Donald, is the spiritual forefather of our movement.